Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Today we're going to be talking about Leeds' first game of the season against Portsmouth and how Leeds might be able to defeat them. But before we get into this video, make sure you hit that big red button down below. Today's video, like I said, is going to be a tactical preview. So we're going to talk a little bit about Portsmouth and then how Leeds might be able to beat them. And there's some screenshots and tactical analysis later in the video. For the moment, though, we're just going to talk about the way they set up. So they do set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Couldn't think of the word then. 4-2-3-1 formation, so they'll be matching up basically position for position against Leeds, who will be playing a very similar formation. They like to use the wings a lot. They'll go out wide and they'll try and get the ball in the box, but not just hopeful lumped crosses into the box. They'll be accurate, well thought out passing moves and crosses into the box. Their manager, John Mousinho, no, not Jose Mourinho, John Mousinho was only a player a couple of years ago, so he's a very young coach, and he's made his move to Portsmouth and got them promoted from League One. Obviously had a really good season there, scored a lot of goals, created a lot of chances, and it's a very young team. Look, they've a little bit in a similar mould to what Leeds were last season. I think their average age of their team last year was around 24 and a half years old. And so there's a lot of youth, there's a bit of pace, there's a bit of experience as well up front with their striker. So it'll be interesting to see when they come to Elland Road if they try to come at us or they try to play a little bit on the counter-attack, because they are decent at that as well. They're almost like Leeds Light in the way that they play their football. It's not exactly the same, but they do like to play on the break. They do play the same formation. They do like to utilise the wings a lot, maybe with a different style of striker up front. But now we're going to have a little look at some screenshots and how we think potentially they could be exploited, or the things to watch out for that they could exploit us with. So the first one we're going to have a look at here is a goal from the opposition here. This was a game where Portsmouth actually got promoted, and I think they won 3-2 in this game at the end. I think it was against Barnsley, but we're going to have a little look at a couple of the goals because the game finished 3-2. So I think it'll be a good example of a game that we can have a look at where there's goals going in at both ends, and you can see how Portsmouth score and how they concede. This one is a goal that they conceded, and you can see there's a player out here. This is a similar attacking situation to what you might find Leeds in. You've got a fullback here, which essentially could be Firpo. Then you've got a winger here and a midfielder who's come short to try and get the ball. So he might be your number 10. That might be Jorginho. So what's happened is the ball's come out here and it's been played inside, just a short little pass into the number 10 here. First thing he does is look up. And see that there's this space here. Look how much room there is out there for that player. So if he has this position to receive the ball, it's going to suck players towards him. So what happens? Player comes inside, he comes short for it, asking for that ball. And when he does, this player drops out wide. So that might be your Bogle or your other or your other winger maybe. But what happens is players get drawn to the ball. Look how many players are all facing the ball here. And the next move, he's turned and played the ball out wide to the guy who was in space, who then puts the ball into the box. This player, this is your Mateo Joseph, no doubt. This is your Mateo Joseph running towards the front post, which is the run that he loves to make, and he goes and puts it in the back of the net. So you can see from that this is a similar situation to what Leeds could exploit. I did it in my pre-season tactical analysis. I looked at things like this. Basically, Jorginho will love to pick up the ball in this space here, in these half spaces on the edge of the box, to try and play passes. Well, what he does well here, this number 10, is he comes short for the ball and receives it here. This is definitely a situation that Leeds could find themselves in. If they can get the ball out of this situation here, spread the play to here, you've got chances then to get your players inside the box. And when you've got willing runners like Mateo Joseph and a crosser of the ball like Jayden Bogle, you could definitely see that we can score a goal like this against Portsmouth. The mistake that Portsmouth make is here, they all get sucked towards the ball. Nobody drops out to the back post to try and stop that cross. Nobody's tight enough to the striker here, the number 44 that you can see in the middle of your picture. Nobody's tight enough in any of these situations, and nobody's marking the space well enough. So when the ball comes back across here, I think they might have been expecting a ball with his right foot, but he's used his left foot, and it's completely done all the defenders. So basically, Portsmouth aren't tight enough in those situations, so we can take good use of that and really try to stop them being able to get the ball off us. Next situation is one that Leeds might have to defend against Portsmouth. Now, this is a free kick taken quickly. That's not a blue ball, that's a balloon. This is the Portsmouth player taking a free kick. Takes it long, and it comes and bounces out all the way to this wing. So, okay, at the moment, your Barnsley defence has got a left back, two centre-backs, and a right back, and you've only got one attacker there. So you'd feel safe in that situation. But what happens is he cuts back inside, and you've got even more players back. But this player is not goal side. So, I mean, I don't think Leeds... I mean, I was going to say I don't think Leeds would be caught out like this, but I genuinely do think that might be an issue. If somebody like Ilya Gruev, who, yes, he's good at tracking back and making tackles, but his actual tracking back in terms of following runners into the box to try and stop them isn't that great, and you could see him easily getting caught like this on the wrong side of the player. So when the ball comes into him here, he's got no chance to get the ball because he's behind him and he can't make a tackle from behind in the box. So Gruev has to be aware of this situation. It's a similar situation to the other one. Cutting inside and playing the ball central, you've got to have you defending positionally better than that. Because he's able to turn, he runs into this space here. That's him behind number 43 there, and he can play the ball into here. This guy actually gets a block, but it drops back to the other striker. Second ball's not fast enough there from the Barnsley defence, and bang, it's into the back of the net. So, again, Leeds, we were guilty of it a few times in pre-season. Get tighter to the ball, get tighter in those situations, and you have to ensure that you are tracking back and tracking those runners, because when a player like that on the right wing cuts inside to try and play a ball here, you've got to make sure you're on the goal side of him to stop that happening. If you're here, you're still keeping your eyes peeled in case he's backing off or whatever. You can mark that space then, and there's no way he gets the ball. He might have to come back out to the number 2, to the defender. Or you might have to switch it entirely, in which case you can all slide across and get ready for it. So it's important that we know what we're doing when we're defending to make sure we're positionally right, because they could exploit you that way. So yeah, there's the goal. Now, this is another goal from Barnsley. Again, coming from a similar position to that last one we just saw out on that left-hand side. But this time, instead of sending a long ball forward, he actually dribbles with it. And this could be Junior Firpo, or it could be whoever's playing on the left wing. I don't know what happened then, I just malfunctioned. So it could be your Willie Gnonto. So he runs into this gap here and he looks what's ahead of him. And when he does look what's ahead of him, because he's gone and done that run, all of these players all of these Portsmouth players weren't really expecting him to do that. So too many of them have gone, all right, I'm going to take it on my responsibility to stop this player. But what's happened in the end is that too many of them have gone to him, and therefore there's a pass straight through to the striker. Look how easy that pass is through to the striker. So again, we've talked about this with players like Joe Rothwell, Willie Gnonto, Jorginho Rutter. If you can beat a man, if you can cut past them and go further than they thought you were going to go, you can open up defences, because they're all at 6s and 7s trying to figure out what they should be doing. And in this case, Portsmouth have all been drawn towards the ball, which has left... Look, I've talked about Mateo Joseph's clever runs in pre-season. This is exactly the sort of position that he wants to be in. He's looked at this defender here, and this defender has not checked his shoulder often enough. And in the end, that's meant that this player can just back off and open up this space here. So when the ball gets played through, he's through on goal. It's been played right into his path, and he's through on goal, ready to slot the ball away in the back of the net. It's one pass. It's really simple, but if we go back to the start of the move, you would think that Portsmouth are all sorted here. Look, they've got the 3 across the midfield, 2 in those attacking positions, and then you've got 4 across the back line, and maybe even more than that. But when he cuts inside, this player comes with him, this player closes down, this player tries to close down. So essentially there's 3 players that are all trying to do the same job there. And therefore it's easy to do that pass through into the striker. And I think that's a really important one for us to look at. If we can break the lines with dribbling, if we can get past a player, if we can manage to get into that final third, then we can exploit them. We can definitely exploit them. Their centre-backs are good on the ball, but they're not necessarily the most aware defensively in these situations. So if you can get the ball through to Mateo Joseph like that, you best believe that he's going to finish that. I really do think he will. That's the last one of those screenshots, but overall, I think, look, Portsmouth were a very, very good team in League One last season. I think what we need to do is try and give them a baptism of fire in the Championship. we're a very, very strong side compared to them, and I just think that we've got too much for them. Defensively, they lack a little bit of awareness. Offensively, decent. They've got enough going forward, but if Leeds are aware, if Leeds are calm and composed and they do their jobs properly defensively, tracking back, marking the right spaces zonally, Leeds will win this game. And I think it's just important to maintain concentration levels high, continue that form and that confidence from pre-season into this game. And I think we'll easily be able to beat Portsmouth. Now, if this comes back on me, and we should be able to easily beat Portsmouth on paper, okay? I'm not saying that that's what will happen, but look out for some of these things happening in the game. Leeds putting them under a lot of pressure, having the two number sixes, up in those number 10 roles, pressing them high up early on, and we can see what they're really made of playing out from the back, or whether they'll resort to lumping the ball forward, in which case we win it back again. We've seen that we've done that to teams in pre-season throughout. So let's see how we start the game. I think we're going to fly out the blocks and get a goal early. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. That's that. I can't speak today at all. That's been it for this one. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately, and I'll see you next time.